Welcome back to Field Notes, the infrastructure podcast. I'm your host, Abby Crawford, and today we are diving into another episode of our series, She Leads the Line. We are here to highlight the women that are helping shape the future of infrastructure, broadband, and connectivity. There is no shortage of conversations happening around AI right now. Every day, it seems like we're hearing about new tools and new capabilities. And today's conversation is not only about AI, we are also going to talk about leadership. Joining me today is Ms. Ashley Travers, Vice President of Strategic Partnerships at KGPCo, where she leads strategic initiatives surrounding broadband expansion, partnerships, and infrastructure readiness efforts across the country. Ashley also serves on the board of directors for the Fiber Broadband Association and brings more than 2 decades of experience across telecommunications, broadband infrastructure, network operations, supply chain, and national deployment initiatives. Ashley, it is such a pleasure to have you on Field Notes.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thanks, Abby.
Of course. I want to jump right into learning about Ashley. You have spent plenty of time in this industry helping scale and build the infrastructure that keeps our country connected. So before we get into AI and leadership, I want to hear about your story and what originally drew you into telecom and what keeps you passionate about this industry.
Awesome. Well, truth be told, I have a journalism degree. So, I started with Verizon Communications right out of college. And so there was an opportunity and I was like, my parents were like, that's a great company. You should go. I was like, no, I want to be a journalism major working the overnight shift at the Boston Globe, which I was doing, making like no dollars an hour. So that's my background. I think really what shaped my career at Verizon was communication skills. And that has definitely served me well throughout, particularly working in engineering and construction and just really making sure that everyone can understand what's going on and share visions and all that. So I was with Verizon for 23 years and had responsibility in outside plant construction, engineering, marketing, and supply chain, and got to travel the world, set up our sourcing center in Dublin, Ireland. So I got to work there for a year. Just had an awesome career there. Went to Rutgers to get my MBA because I had a journalism degree. And so I thought, all right, I'm leading people. When I came out of college, I was working and I was a team leader with 17 union technicians. And I was like, well, if I'm going to learn what they're doing, I'm going to go to outside plant school. So learned how to splice cable, climb poles. My mom has a picture of me in her laundry room of me with a hard hat up on a telephone pole. So proud moment. But so I was like, if I'm going to gain the respect of the people that work for me, I'm going to understand what they're doing. And working in a union environment is not for the faint of heart. So that it's definitely shaped who I am, but I think just that basis of understanding the network and working out in the field has really definitely paved the way for me to have an appreciation and be able to be make good decisions throughout. And so that's now in supply chain. As you had mentioned, I work for KGPCo. I was brought on board to lead the BEAD initiative and going to bring that strategy into fruition, which finally, after 2.5 years, it's actually here. So that has come with its ups and downs, of course, with all the puts and takes with BEAD, but that's been a fun ride. And now we're starting really to transition into AI and what that looks like from a distribution standpoint and how we leverage all the partnerships we have with our longstanding partners. KGP is a family-owned, women-owned business. Love it. And that's really our chairwoman. She's fantastic. We really have a great family dynamic in our company. And so it makes it a lot of fun to work with folks, and been in the business over 50 years. So so I'm excited. It's making that transition into how we leverage our, core values and what we're really good at, and making that shift into AI. It's exciting.
That's so cool. Well, I definitely want to jump into talking about AI because that is hot topic for you right now. And one thing that I'm sure you've noticed throughout your many years in this industry is that technology's changed. business models change. The industry is just constantly evolving, which is a good thing. And right now, AI is just another one of those defining moments. So I would love to hear, how does the current AI moment that we're in right now compare to some of the transformations that you've seen throughout your career?
Yeah, that's a really good question. This one, I've never seen anything in terms of the investment that's coming from, not only within the United States, but globally. And that energy and excitement and massive amounts of funding, is just astronomical. I think they're saying like 750 billion just alone in AI infrastructure this year. This year,
Yeah.
like we've never seen anything like this. And I think for me personally, the building networks and being in infrastructure has never been like the sexy place to be, and for
Yeah.
once I think all those skills are really have, it's exciting to be in a place where people want to be, and it's cool to translate your like telecom skills and try to upskill yourself and morph yourself into this exciting place where there is a ton of investment. We saw even this week with Corning investing with Amazon, like every day there's something new. And it's, as it's fun to be part of what's growing. And it's going to have its ebbs and flows. Of course, I think what I've heard recently, like there's a lot of AI fatigue out there. And that's
Yeah.
why I feel passionate about, like, we'll chat about that. Like, what can you do to yourself to, make sure that you're prepared so that you're really not burning out with AI fatigue, because it's definitely there and you hear it in everything
Yeah.
and you use it all day long. At least I do. Like, whether it's personal, professional, if I'm at my computer or if I'm on my phone or whatever, it's becoming a way of life. And it's awesome to embrace it. And I think also evangelizing it and getting people to understand that it's not just about, data centers popping up and, there's so much resistance to it right now. And, if we don't get after it in the United States, like Asia is going to come and take it over. Right. And so, it finally feels like a global solution that's really going to future proof like what the globe and what technology looks like. And it's, a lot of these hyperscalers are, looking not only to expand in the US, but, in the Middle East and in Asia Pac. And, but the beauty of it is how much growth and opportunity we have right here in the 50 states. And that's exciting because yes, there are some impacts to communities and, a lot of resistance, but
Yeah.
it really is, in rural areas, particularly, like it will benefit the greater good. And I think there's ways to do that. And it's usually when there's resistance, it's usually about education. And I think that's really where, you know, folks like us can really help people understand the benefits of AI and what it can do for the future, for grandkids and generations beyond.
Yeah, I want to dive into that a little bit more because, of course, there are a ton of positives to AI. But I do want to talk about the group of people that may not be embracing it as much. And a very common concern that I have been seeing around AI is, what jobs will AI replace? Um, but you've said that the more important question is, what becomes more value because of AI? What can we do with AI rather than being afraid of what it's taking away from us? Can you unpack that a little bit more for us?
Yeah. This is where I've really like sunk my teeth into like the last couple of months or so, because it is that, and a lot of corporations, frankly, have pointed their finger at job layoffs because of AI. That
Yeah.
hasn't come to fruition yet. Like those layoffs and things that we haven't even really uh, gotten the fruits of the labor of AI yet. It's, I have to say, it's a little, and this is Ashley speaking, but like it's, that's a bit of an excuse right now. We really haven't seen the benefits of it yet. And so, yeah, what I say is like, AI can, yes, it can replace jobs, but what it can't replace is like your human advantage. And like everyone's talking about, transforming industries, changing everything, replacing jobs. But I think we're asking the wrong question. The question is, what will AI replace? It isn't what will AI replace. It's what becomes more valuable because of AI. And I think AI gets better at doing things. Humans are going to be valued for something completely different. Not just what we know, not even what we can do, but how we show up. And I have this like inner, um, I don't know, I would call it etiquette or something, but I think it's how people like knowledge is all going to be a common ground. Everyone's going to have the same access to the same knowledge. And before that used to be a differentiator. So if everyone has the same access to the same answers, then the clear differentiator is the person themselves. Like, how do you show up? How do you communicate? How do you lead? And I think, even if you think you're not a leader, but like really it's, what are those human advantage skills that AI can't replicate? It's judgment, it's communication, it's trust, presence, and emotional intelligence. And that may sound like soft skills, but truly, that is where, if you think about it, that playing field levels out. And you in a workplace or whatever your, profession is, those are really the skills that differentiate how you present and how you can move, we call it the hypothetical needle. Like, how can you do that? And that's really where I think my goal is to like help people understand like that this is your key time to really hone in on those. I don't want to use the word soft skill, that I call human advantage of like,
Yeah.
AI can write an email, it can analyze data and it can generate insights, but it can't walk into a room and take
Right.
someone and make them feel seen. It can't build trust. It can't create belonging. And so the truth is that that's actually what drives leadership and that's what drives careers forward. So just kind of want to get people's heads around that of like, the bots, the robots, you think about all that. It's just really tuning into like who you are and, working on how you internalize and how you externalize those skills.
Yeah, I love your perspective on that, and it shifts the conversation from fear to opportunity, which I think is what people really need to wrap their heads around, which can be hard because AI can be very intimidating because it is so powerful and it can do so much. So you talk about the human advantage. I love that terminology for that. Can you walk us through how those four qualities that you mentioned, the clarity, trust, judgment, executive presence, why do those matter even more right now?
Absolutely. We were talking about clarity, trust, judgment, executive presence. If you're thinking, so what do I do with this? Focusing on building your human advantage. You can communicate clearly. And that's a work of art. It's like learning public speaking.
Mm,
Like people fear that, but it's like
right.
going to the gym, working on it as much as you can every day, putting in a practice. And maybe it's just, 5 minutes a day, but being very intentional about communication. And look, we deal in technology. Sometimes there's language barriers, there's all different things. There's, being in remote versus being in person, those
Yeah.
communication obstacles. So really being in tune with, what that method is and making sure that you can use your advantage of communicating. Make sure the recipient understands what you're saying. I know it sounds trite, but it's simple. Like, but really making sure that the other receiving person or party or meeting understand you. Because one thing I did learn in journalism is be able to communicate at a third grade level. Like a lot of people
Hmm.
think in technology, if you speak big words and all this, that makes you sound more valuable, more educated. And it's not, it's actually people want to feel comfortable understanding the language in which you speak. So that makes them feel comfortable. I'm not a psychologist, but they just want to understand. So I think working on that clarity is key. And then building trust intentionally, that comes with, maybe you don't have the ability to do something in person with the
Mm,
other party or group, but like you can build trust and that can come from you know showing up on time,
mm.
making the extra effort, setting a cadence and showing up and doing the work. And trust comes in different ways, but of course in person is I find to be the most valuable and genuine. But I think making eye contact, going back to the basics, shaking hands and like doing what you say you're going to do, that builds trust. It's the little things. So and there's a lot on this, even on YouTube. Like, there's TED Talks on it. There's all kinds of things that you can upskill and just be like, oh, well, I could do this, or it's in the little things that you do. I think increasing self-awareness too. Just I in my career, I've done I love 360 feedback. Like when you send a survey out to people, and it might be your direct reports, might be your peers, might be your boss. 360 surveys, I think, give you so much insight about yourself. And I haven't done one in a long time. And I was just thinking, I was like, that'd be a good time to do it. Maybe check in like every 5 to 7 years on yourself of getting honest feedback. And it takes a strong person to be able to do that. Like it can be uncomfortable, but how do you grow? You have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. So I love 360s because it really helps you become self-aware of maybe where your opportunities are, where your roadblocks are. So that to me was a big tool that I used early in my career to like how you're perceived, because perception is everything. And then I think also, right? I know it's true.
It's true.
And then I think the other thing too is just showing up strong under pressure. It's not the, fake it till you make it, but like, and again, that comes with repetition, like putting in the reps, like try and get comfortable, doing your homework before you have to make a presentation or an interview, putting in the reps beforehand. And look, we're not perfect, but like just exercising those skills, making yourself do things that you may not necessarily do. And so that you show up, like I have this metaphor of like a duck, like you look calm on the surface, but you're paddling like crazy underwater. And someone told me that early in my career, and I'm like, that's a good like mantra, like be like a duck, like calm on the top and paddling like crazy on the bottom. So yeah, I think those are the things that just really I see as what your human advantage can be that can differentiate yourself from others. Well, knowledge is kind of the same.
Yeah. Well, what's really interesting about all of those qualities is that they don't show up in a software demo. That's not anywhere that's nothing you're going to find with AI, and there's no coincidence there. That is developed through your experience, your relationships, through leadership. So yeah, I think it's really important for us to remember and think of all the things that we are capable of doing that AI is not. I want to kind of move the conversation into leadership. You have led across different operations, supply chain, partnerships, and executive strategy. How has leadership itself changed during your career?
That's a really good question, because I will look at COVID, how you show up. You're in the office Monday through Friday, or you're out traveling and meeting your teams, your customers, and we only knew that up until, March of 2020. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like, how do you lead virtually? And it kind of goes back to the whole thing of like, how do you build trust and build those relationships when it's like you and me right here? Like, I think it's, again, back to like those basic skills. I always set up one-on-ones with my team, like my direct reports. And I do that also with clients and customers. It's that consistency of like, you have a set time, you show up, and that shows that that other person knows you feel that they are important. Just full stop. Like, okay, we have a commitment. I'm going to show up. You're going to get my attention for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever that is. But like that intentionality of like, okay, Mr. Customer or employee, and they have your undivided attention. And I know myself, frankly, there were times where I was severely distracted and probably checking on my phone. We all know, like, you can't get away with that, right? It's like, oh yeah, no, you've got to be able to compartmentalize and give that person your attention. And I strongly believe, as leading teams, that you give that employee, or you give them your attention, and then be able to uncover it. That's where you build trust. You can talk about the things that maybe they're not comfortable talking about in open forums. And again, whether it's virtual or in person, of course, in person, there's that dynamic, but, and that person would then feel comfortable to speak and, uncover those roadblocks. Again, whether it's a customer, an employee, And then you get to move the needle because you're working through those little roadblocks. You may not see it. And if you're not talking and communicating regularly, you're not finding that out. And like you said, you show up to a software demo and just getting on and doing the work, and that's one thing. But like what happens, those we'll call it like water cooler conversations. That's what I call like one-on-ones. It's like, it's your time.
Yeah.
Let's talk. You tell me what's on your mind. How can I help you? And it's always in the frame of the other person. Like, how can I help you get to where you want to go? It's very, you also have to be very selfless and,
Yeah.
not stopping people from growing. And I think there's a lot of that out there where people feel threatened and, I don't want so-and-so to, trump me and all that. And it takes a special person. You got to feel good inside. I always say, like, you can't drink from an empty cup. You got to feel good about yourself as a leader
Yes.
before you can help coach. And again, it's repetition. It doesn't come easy. It's putting yourself in uncomfortable situations and eventually, growing from that. So I'm a big proponent of one-on-ones. I just think that just builds strength, trust, get clear on objectives, and just communication. It's everything. So
Yeah, that
yeah.
is sweet advice. I love that. I want to bring this conversation into the context of women in infrastructure or leadership roles, because that is what She Leads the Line is centered around.
Love
Um,
it.
so, as a woman that has led across multiple areas of telecom and infrastructure, I would love to know, what has your leadership journey taught you about confidence, influence, and presence? I know you touched on that just briefly, but I want to dive a little bit deeper into what that's looked like for you.
I'll tell a little story. I interviewed for a position in engineering and was told by a male, and I was, deemed a high potential, whatever. And I was told why I didn't get the job is I wasn't technical enough.
Mm,
That kicked my head's butt. I was like, I'm not technical enough. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's right. Because I studied journalism. Oh, that's right. I'm not an engineer. I don't have an engineering degree. And that like rocked me. And uh, I just, and then I knew I was totally had all the uh, qualifications for the role. I had been there, had done the work and led, and I was like, I was rocked. And an opportunity came up a few years later for a director of engineering. And I was like, I can't do that. I'm not technical enough. And
mm,
I got approached by the hiring VP, who was a female. And I said, look, I know you think I might be good for this. And I said to her, I go, but I've been told I'm not technical enough. And she got in my face and she was like, I never want to hear you say that again. And I was like, okay. And then I'm like sitting there, like, and I was like, okay. I was like, all right, get it together, get it together. And she's like, you are technical enough. You've been in this industry long enough. You work for Verizon. You are technical by virtue. You are under, you are an employee of. And I'll never forget that because she gave me the confidence of like, okay, I can do this. I actually then got the job and then led a team of hundreds of engineers, and I learned
wow.
so much from them. And the reason why they hired me is because I wasn't an engineer and I could communicate the difficult, challenging terminology and be able to do that to our external partners. But that always is that little, we always have those little birdies in our head chirping of
Yeah.
like what our like, weaknesses are and whatever. And I'm like, I'll never forget that person that told me I wasn't technical enough. And like that actually drove me to just work that much harder. And then I took that as advice to make sure when I'm in forums where I can
Mhm.
present and people are listening and I have that floor, is I make
Yeah.
sure that I capitalize off the technical terms that show that I know my stuff. And you have to, it doesn't come naturally. You have to like make sure you flex that. And,
Mm,
but I was just happy that I got the opportunity. And yeah, women helping women, like in
yeah. I
infrastructure,
love that.
and I'm very grateful for that because it was one of the best roles I ever had and literally was like, had field experience. And I was like, all right, I am technical enough. And I feel very grateful for that. So,
That's
yeah,
awesome. That is such a sweet story. That's perfect for
crazy.
this podcast. I love to hear that. I would love to hear, what is a piece of advice that you would give to another woman or just another professional that is entering into this space for the first time. And yeah, just a piece of advice that you would give them overall, whether it's leadership or if, you know, being on your technical game, like whatever that is.
Yeah. I think, look, technology is moving super fast. And one thing I've
Mhm.
realized throughout my career is like it's difficult to stay on the latest and greatest. And we're all there every day trying to keep it. But I think forums like associations, and I'm not just doing this because I'm on the Fiber Broadband Association, but that network where like-minded people that are passionate about this industry, like building that network of people really helps expand your thinking, creativity, but also again builds trusted partnerships. And I think that's what you need. And you have to again put in the reps. Like you have to get out there, put yourself out there, request a meeting, request, you know, it's not all going to be roses and sunshine, but you're going to, and then that network starts to build and people, say, oh, I'm going to introduce Abby to this person because she's good in this. And those things just start to flourish. And so I think finding your people is really key into really building your business, your brand, and again, it's like it's not going to be all that comfortable. You've got to like get out there and try it. And look, there's plenty of organizations out there. Or start your own. Like I love it when somebody like, right now, for instance, I'm looking on LinkedIn for like women in data centers. And I'm like, oh, there's, and things like that. Cause like I want to learn, I want to talk to women. And
Yeah.
I just find those again, finding the people that can help you and learn. I learn best by like doing and interacting. And so, it's to me, that's been a really great ability to navigate through my career. And even when I was in engineering, I got involved in the Society for Women Engineers, both national level, and then I went to Rutgers where I got my MBA and I helped them and the students because I learned from the students. So SWE is a great organization too. And like, even though again, I'm not educated, then I learned from the students and then I can help them like, oh, what is possible, those kind of things. So I really felt that getting outside of like, oh, I don't need to be the best at this, but taking a bigger macro view of like, who are the people that can help me and who will talk and advocate for me when I'm not in the room. And that's
Yeah.
really where things open up. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
I love that. Ashley, this has been such an awesome conversation. I value your time and your experience so much. Before I
Thank you.
close us out, is there anything that we didn't address or talk about that you want to share or any projects that you're working on? The floor is yours.
Thank you. First of all, thank you. It's an honor to be invited here. I love this work. I love the people in this business. I think, just in general right now, it's a unsteady time, like
Yeah.
just in general, right? There's just a lot going on in the world. And rather than like, again, I was saying about some of the skills and like working on yourself, I think this is a good time to work internally, as I was saying, clarity, trust, judgment, executive presence, like doing those reps, but
Yeah.
also getting outside and also having fun with it. Like you never know, like, you know, on the pickleball court, I love pickleball. And like you meet
Me too.
people. I met somebody, that works at IBM and knows somebody that I worked with here. It's like you just never know. And so I think it's just doing things that you might not necessarily do and being open to advice and to, trying new things. And again, I think leadership is not for those who want to sit and be comfortable. I don't.
Right.
I think it's for those people who really want to push things forward and do the dirty work. And it's risky, but there's
Yeah.
usually a lot of reward on the other side. And don't forget to pay it forward. Like, find people that you can, mentor or talk to, or, whether it's a school you went to or, STEM programs. Those kids, are so hungry for learning of what is possible. I
Yeah.
do work for a charitable organization with students, and like we take it for granted that like students and kids know what jobs are out there, what career
Yeah.
paths, and they really don't. And especially, in underserved areas. And I think whatever that looks like, maybe it's even virtual, but like you get to learn from kids, and it's just as valuable, again, like paying it forward. It feels really good because you realize you have something to share, but you're also helping the next generation and generations to come. Uh, and, getting them to, they're going to forge the future,
Yeah.
and be either working alongside with us, or,
Yeah.
we're going to be watching them work for us. And so I think just utilizing those skills that we have in any capacity can really help, educate the kids to know what is possible in technology in general. And I think that's just super wonderful for the future. So, yeah.
100%. I couldn't agree more. That's one of my favorite conversations is trying to get these jobs that are literally shaping our future in front of kids. Because when I was growing up, it was, oh, there's firefighter, doctor, lawyer, hairstylist, like all of those, of course, are wonderful jobs, but you never hear about any job in telecom.
Right.
Like don't even engineering is considered niche. So
Right.
getting these jobs in front of kids is so important. I love that.
Yeah. Thank
That's
you.
awesome. Thank
Great.
you so much, Ashley. This has been
Yeah.
so much fun, and I love hearing your perspective on leadership and AI. Definitely made me think a little bit. And thank you to everyone that is listening to this episode. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, share this episode with a colleague or a friend. And until next time, please keep building, keep leading. That's it.